Hello, what nuts, Humpty Dump nuts, John Tortorunk nuts, and Caitlin Clunk nuts. It is April 2 U.S., and it's What Chaos. I'm DJ Bean. That is Pete Blackburn. That is Sean DePaz. How are you, boys?
I am lovely. How are you?
I'm great because I got a belly full of just watched women's college basketball yesterday. Didn't do a lot of hockey, TBH.
I know. I felt like the black sheep in the hockey group chat that we have because I was the only one watching hockey, I think.
Which yesterday you were like, man, I'm out of this hockey loop. I got to get caught up. And I was like, cool, do it. I'm be watching
not tonight.
Caitlin Clark absolutely cook, which she did. Oh my God.
It was awesome.
I love, like, there was so much shit going into that game. There was like, my dad said, he was like, Caitlin Clark can be intimidated. They got to her last year. I was like, she lost one game. She's going to go the fuck off.
Yeah.
And she did. It was awesome.
I feel like we're
Angel
on a
Reese
pretty
was
good
awesome
run
too.
of shit living up to the hype. Is that fair?
That is, I mean, at
Trying to
least
think of
when
other-
we've hyped something, it's been good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other like highly anticipated sporting events.
Well, for you, Sean, Boston Red Sox season has lived up to the hype.
It's exceeded the hype.
R.I.P.
They're
Larry
They're
Lucchino.
playing the Oakland A's. Let's chill out.
They
split
just
versus the
split
Mariners.
against a playoff team in the Seattle Mariners.
Well, famously they weren't a playoff team because they were 0-0 when that series started.
He's cooking. Cooked it.
That's not how that works.
There's like a ramp up period for teams to start becoming playoff teams.
No, if it's the beginning of the season, if you were a playoff quality team last year, then I am going, unless there was massive different changes in your roster, I'm going to assume you're a playoff quality team still.
I think that for this show, we should track when the 2024 Boston Red Sox became a playoff team. Like, today was the day Donald Trump became president kind of shit. Like, today, after sweeping the A's, which, like, watch them not sweep the A's, the Boston Red Sox became a playoff team. R.I.P. Larry Lucchino, though.
Yes.
Y'all know this?
Mm-hmm.
So Larry Lucchino, who was like basically CEO, I think, of the Red Sox in their heyday, he was a big ballpark guy. That's what I liked about him. He
what
was
does that
like
mean?
Petco Park, Camden Yards. He made Fenway Park more interesting. He also made Theo Epstein quit that one time. But by and large, a net positive for the Red Sox. Got him some championships.
He was like a pillar of the culture of the Boston Red Sox changing. So
spending money, winning.
Yeah. So R.I.P. Larry Lucchino died this morning, I want to say. I listened to like 5 minutes of sports radio this morning, which I never do. And I heard Larry Lucchino, the news of him dying, breaking on the radio. And then I also heard them talking about like Red Sox fans need to give John Henry an apology. We're like 5 games into the season.
Relax.
And they're already saying that everybody was right, or the Red Sox front office was right.
The Red Sox succeeding, I'm trying to think of a good example. It's very much like a major league kind of thing. We are doing this in spite of the owner. Like, it is not, like the Red Sox succeeding is a direct smack in the, like spitting in the face of John Henry.
If this is how good they are when they spend no money, think about what they could do if they broke out the checkbook.
This is not a pat on the back, Mr. Henry. This is a go fuck yourself.
You know, a movie I watched recently. I was a little under the weather, and it's always a comfort to rewatch things.
Moneyball.
The Great Moneyball.
Mm-hmm.
Terrific.
Although the trick is, I turned that shit off with like 6 minutes left because the daughter storyline is so horrible to me. Every time they see the daughter, she like plays this really boring pop song on the guitar and sings.
Remember the movie.
And I'm like, time for me to head out. Why don't you give me another Scott Hatterberg at bat, please?
Hates to be that guy. But
No, you're going to mention the pitching. Now they don't mention it. Okay.
No.
Oh, that would be a cool take if somebody said that the movie Moneyball
I thought that's where he was
glosses
going.
over the pitching.
No, I'm a big Moneyball the book guy. Like it was I liked that book a lot, and now it's
Oh,
definitely
you're the book. The book is better kind of guy.
yeah.
I mean, the book is awesome.
In this situation, I'm not always a book is better kind of guy because like movies are just fun.
The movie's great too.
I read
The movie
that
is
book,
great, but
I read that book, and as soon as I was done, went back to the Jeremy Brown part and reread that part 100 times.
I need
not
to-
like the draft where
I don't know why I didn't rewatch the movie right after. Like I should have rewatched the movie right after I finished reading the book.
oh, the movie's great. It's
I
extremely
enjoy it. Yeah,
It's extremely Sorkin-y, but you're going to get that.
Ilya Sorkin.
I did a fun little social media project a few years ago, Sean. We didn't know each other at this point. Pete was very fond of it. It was called Moneyball with Guns.
That was
Oh.
great.
And I just took screenshots of Moneyball, just added guns to them.
That should have
So
been
like
Hell yeah.
art.
That should have been like a bit that carried on, like movies with guns.
Yeah, I was gonna do blanks like movies with other things. I didn't always want it to be guns because then I didn't want it to come off as like a gun nut. And I only own like 8
Use
guns,
water
so I'm not
guns.
even that big a gun guy.
Use water guns. That solves everything, at least according to Apple.
Okay, you
That's
know what
true.
is weird though, as like a non-gun person, there is something a little unsettling about like everybody who has met me, like can guess and know like that guy doesn't have a gun.
Yeah.
I don't need a gun for anything.
I feel like I give
You
off
want to emit like slight gun energy, like potential gun energy.
Like
a
somebody,
little bit
You
of
don't
a
want
don't
somebody
fuck
to know
with me
that
energy.
you don't have a gun.
like if in the middle of the night somebody breaks in, it's what chaos. If in the middle of the night somebody breaks in, what up, Humpty Dump Nuts? Somebody breaks in, and I'm like, "Who's there?" And someone's like, "Shut up," and I'm like, "I have a gun." They would be like, "No, you don't." Yeah, right.
It's a good point. You don't want to be the guy that everybody knows doesn't have a gun.
I don't have a gun.
I don't. I feel like I don't. I would give off. He doesn't have a gun energy too. I've
I
shot
do
guns
like-
before,
I
though.
do
They are
like-
fun.
Maybe we start evaluating NHL players on what's the likelihood they own a gun. That should be. We should do like the J Fresh hockey cards.
Yeah,
And literally
do we think they have a gun?
The only stat category is do they own a gun? And it's like Sidney Crosby, 14%.
I think speculative hockey cards is also just a great idea.
That
where
would
it's
be
like
very
certain
fun.
stats, and then like, do they have a gun? We think so.
Gun or Wolf Fontaine.
Jordan Binnington 100% owns a gun.
Jordan Binnington, I think, more owns sledgehammers.
I think that Jordan Binnington has like
I feel
a
like-
John Wick arsenal.
I was gonna say Jordan Bennington has a secret room.
Yes, 100%.
He has a secret
like
room. When you
Jordan
walk in,
Binnington
you're like-
has
That
to
motherfucker pulls a book.
He has to take a sledgehammer to the concrete floor in his office
John
to
Wick.
access the John Wick.
John Wick
Yes,
style?
yes.
Amazing. Chat going off naturally. Glock Faber.
I do not have a. There's no way I give off. I have a knife collection vibe. There is no shot.
I wouldn't be shocked.
I do not own any knives.
Somebody said John Tortorella over under 15 guns. John Tortorella, I
Torts
believe,
he just does not think he's
did
a gun guy.
did he go to Westfield State?
I believe so. Yeah.
Westfield State is like a big like law enforcement like if there's like a pre-cop college, it's Westfield State.
I believe his son's in the military or was in the military.
I mean this probably wouldn't surprise somebody that John
Jeez. Just Jordan Remington.
Jordan Remington.
I love that.
I Jack Rifle's pretty good. Max Pistol Ready, that's okay. I liked Carl Gunnarsson.
Yeah.
Now there's okay.
Nice.
They moved off
12 gauge Thompson.
Ooh,
12 gauge. Was that
gauge
was
Thompson.
that a Sean original?
Yes, it is.
Nice.
The thing
Pretty
is,
good.
not only do I
Handgun Lindholm. Incredible stuff.
handgun Lindholm. The thing is, as the chat delves into this exercise, I realize not only do I definitely not own a gun, I know so little about guns that
You can't
I
participate.
couldn't give you a pun.
How about Charlie McTenavoy?
Ooh.
Mac Tenavoy.
Or is it Mac 11? I don't know.
Have they moved up?
I feel
Have
like we're
they-
not in the
They-
crowd of people that
it's
can
like
question.
the Lawnmower 5.0.
They have better. It has a light that shines the way.
I think
Yes.
one of the saddest things.
Shoot my penis.
I love a good gun inspired nickname, and I understand why they've gone out of popularity a little bit, but like Andrei Karolinko being AK-47
Oh.
or Austin Reeves being AR-15.
Yes.
Those are great nicknames.
I loved this. I did not invent this or popularize this, but AK-47 and like even Andrei Kostitsyn, AK-46, people would give those nicknames to players who had AK initials.
Yeah.
I started doing it mockingly for every player. And like, I think this was even before like TB12 existed.
Like AK-63 for Brad Marchand.
No, I would say like BM63. Okay. And that became an actual popularized thing that people would do. And I first did it as a joke, and then I did it because on Twitter, back in the day, this is going to sound ridiculous, there was a character limit.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
What was it initially?
It was 140, I think.
Yeah,
right?
I think that was the original one.
140, and then it became 280,
yeah.
And now it's 90 million.
Yeah.
But I mean, like DS, what would it have been?
By the way, if anybody does like any of those like long posts on Twitter,
very rarely
automatically the worst person.
Yeah,
and I'll just tell you, no one's reading it.
Right.
Nobody is clicking to expand it.
I feel like I've seen one or two situations where I was like, okay, this was warranted. But outside of that, and I can't think of what they would have been. I was going to say, I don't know if you saw something I tweeted yesterday, speaking on the likelihood of owning guns. Our favorite insurrectionists, the Cincinnati Cyclones.
Oh, yeah.
January 6th, they just had the first all-black lineup in pro hockey.
I did see that, yeah.
Hey.
All 5 skaters were black men, which was awesome. So as I tweeted, they came back from the January 6th allegations in a huge way.
Well, I mean,
I was gonna,
it's today's woke culture. That's a PR. It's
True.
a PR move.
Hiring a black
to
coach
bounce
too.
back. Yeah.
Hire a black coach too as a PR move.
It's called damage control.
I initially, as soon as you told me that, I had a question I wanted to ask that I was like, yeah, you know what, that might come off the wrong way and sound like I'm kind of missing the point here, but I still want to ask it for the sake of learning. How'd they do?
I don't know.
Like,
I just saw like a post about it. I didn't see. I'm not really in on the
like if this all black
ECHL
lineups like started and scored like 6 goals on the first shift of the game,
We should know about it.
it'd be fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And could change the world forever.
that would be pretty cool. I mean, I feel like I could probably figure it out. But
Change the world
Press those
also.
numbers.
Change the World is also an Eric Clapton song. Another update that we
someone
got off
else
that
write it.
what's that?
I said, did someone else write it?
Actually, he did it. Somebody else did write it. He wanted to cover it, and this is now sticking with a bunch of stuff we're talking about. He wanted it to quote unquote sound black, so
Hell yeah.
he did it with Babyface, and that is like the best recording ever. It's amazing. Like Eric Clapton x Babyface works so well. Great song. Something that we had left out though on the Eric Clapton thing, our friend Scott McLaughlin pointed out. Not only did somebody else write most of the lyrics for Tears in Heaven, that song was written as part of a movie soundtrack, and it had nothing to do with the movie. They were like,
someone tweet that.
They needed him to write music for this movie, and he was like, I have a pretty dark idea, and it's more autobiographical than anything else. But I think it was for like an action movie or something.
It was for Rush, which that can't be like the racing movie Rush, right?
No, that's Gran Turismo.
Yes. No, I saw Scott McLaughlin say that it was for the Rush soundtrack. But there's a what?
Kasperic Klappinen?
Glock Emmerich.
Glock Emmerich is
a great one.
Very good.
Oh, 2 small-town Texas cops go undercover to catch a major drug dealer and are sucked into the drug culture, compromising their assignment. I believe this is what it might be Mel Gibson.
I don't know. I feel like I don't know anything about this movie, but I feel like if you are going to bust drug lords and you end up getting sucked into the drug dealing business, you never had that much interest in busting the drug lord to begin with.
This is a good question from Matthew Tonis. Cut my Tonis. Why didn't they ask Rush to do the music for Rush?
It's a great point.
You just had a bunch of amazing prog rock while these small town Texans are doing whatever. Canadian band. People forget this.
Not getting sucked into the drug business, but getting sucked off were the Philadelphia Flyers last night by their own coach.
I think that Torts is walking around with it's like, Where are these guys? Let me suck these guys right down.
I didn't expect an NHL team to be sucked off by their own coach, but the Philadelphia Flyers came awfully close last night.
If you're wondering what happened and what's going on with the Philadelphia Flyers, they're now on a 5-game losing streak, 0-3-2. They tied their game last night against the Islanders with 10 seconds remaining to force overtime, get a point. Good stuff, right? Wrong. They lose in overtime, and Torts, seemingly the whole time, was stewing about a very bad second period that this team had in which it did not get pucks on net. If there's anything Torts cares about, it's getting pucks on net and on yourself.
Yes, you gotta shoot them, and you gotta suck them. You gotta suck them into your body.
Take them.
Yes.
Hockey season is coming up. Tryouts coming up.
That is Torts would 100% employ and dress Happy Gilmore.
Torts is like, hey guys, we've been spending a lot of time around the rink. How about a field trip? And like montage music starts playing, and the players are like, "You're gonna take us to batting cages? No. Well, let's stay on the ice. We'll do that."
He was right though. That second period was god awful. They had I believe 3 shots in the second period, 2 of which came from like the outside of the zone. They scored on one of them. Good for them, but. 2 of those shots came in the first minute of the second period. So they basically spent the entire second period getting caved in. But the real headline was Torts' post-game press conference. There is a lot to take in and a lot to chew on from that post-game press conference. So let's hear that.
John, it seemed like after Sanheim scores that goal early in the second period, you guys had all the momentum and things kind of came to a stop. What was your assessment of where things were?
Soft. One guy played, the goalie.
How encouraging is it that he came in like that cold and was able to?
Terrific. He's the only guy that played.
Is that pretty surprising? Considering you said like you trust your team, you don't have to tell them or remind them, and then they do that.
You're finding things out here, okay? When these games are at a whole different plane, okay? It's still regular season, right? But it's a whole different plane. So we're finding things out.
You talked after the last game about that was kind of what you felt like wasn't a great performance. Are you concerned at all that tonight it kind of lingered again, that you just said it was a soft game per se?
Not the whole game and not the whole group. There are certain people that they don't have a clue how to play or just don't have it in them to play in these type of situations. And this is why I'm glad we're playing them. I'm glad because we have to figure things out as far as what we're going to become as a team here. That was embarrassing in the second period for the Philadelphia Flyer uniform, the way we played. Embarrassing. High marks as far as how we came back in the third. Some guys.
With regards to Ivan, why did you make the decision to bring him in, and how impressed were you in his performance tonight?
I wanted to bring him in. It just didn't look right with Urs, and I'm totally impressed. I put him in a hell of a spot. And he's the only goddamn player that played in the second period.
You have any update on Sean Couturier?
No.
You guys now have a couple days off before you start back-to-back. Is that kind of what you were talking about over some guys need some rest, or is that you just want?
Yeah, we can talk about that too. Rest, this, that, the other thing. If you don't have enough balls to play in these type of games, rest doesn't do us any good. Doesn't do us any good.
My guy said the Philadelphia Flyers, whom I coach, don't know ball.
Yeah, for real. That is essentially Mora being like, playoffs? This is not a playoff team.
But because it's Torts and we all kind of speak the language and have been immersed in it for so long, we don't see that. And we're like, whoa, he flew off the handle. We're like, speak to me, John.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's great for everybody involved. Like, it's great for the Flyers.
Couturier, all the players, they feel awesome about some guys.
They shouldn't feel awesome. He's not wrong. Like, they played a horrible second period in a very meaningful game in the middle of a skid. They deserve to get yelled at. And like, I love John Tortorella sometimes, but like, that is what I want from John Tortorella. And the honesty there, I love it.
I think we've said this before, and it further establishes this. He is, I think that we all said that we were this type. Sean, you definitely said you were. I was. I think just based on your personality, you probably were the type of student who, if you had a teacher who is going to be real with you and give you some tough love and yell at you and be demanding of you, you're like, even if I get like a B+ in this class, I'm going to grind my ass off for this person.
Yeah.
And that further solidified that. Like that he comes back with he does like the compliment sandwich kind of thing where he rips into them, says that we only had one fucking guy play in the second period. High marks for how he came back in the third, and then continues to crush his own team. Respect, sir.
You would think that they lost that game like 6-2. They lost in overtime and
came back.
Came back in the final seconds, yeah. You would think they got smoked, but that is Torts. That's why I love Torts. And like you're telling me, Sean, you're a Buffalo Sabres fan. You're telling me that you wouldn't kill for John Tortorella to coach the Buffalo Sabres.
Especially when, like I brought this up before, when Casey Middlestat got traded and everything he was talking about was like, wow, this is what like, he didn't say it like this, but he's like, wow, this is what like a real team practice is like. Like they actually practice hard here. Like, I think there's a lot of teams, and the Buffalo Sabres are certainly one of them that could certainly use a guy like Torts.
You could definitely use like constant accountability. You could definitely use like constant tough love and a structure. And Torts brings all three of those things. I love him as a coach.
And just what I brought up to you guys before the show, like the fact that he also was sure to make sure that like Ivan Fedotov, right? Okay,
yeah,
that he didn't see that, like he wasn't attacking him. Like he made sure to clarify that he was like, he did great too.
And this is a guy who is not afraid to throw his goalie under the bus, as we found out in the past couple of weeks. Also, shout out to the Flyers because they absolutely know what they have in John Tortorella. Have you ever seen a press conference feed as high quality as the Philadelphia Flyers press conference feed? They're shooting that thing in with IMAX cameras.
That is 8K.
The best part to me is the fact that they have like the motion graphic with his name on the bottom. Like, no, you don't need that at all.
They know what they have, and they are putting 5 stars in Letterboxd to the Philadelphia Flyers post-game press conferences.
Now that we are delving into the aesthetics of it, we're planning a bunch of stuff for the postseason. We're going to do some streams. People have asked, when are the long, crazy streams coming? For better or worse, they're coming very soon. We're doing them. We're planning some wild things that we're going to implement. We're going to have challenges. We're going to make bets in which the other person has to do crazy things. One thing we should work in there is somebody has to dress like Torts for a week because he looks fantastic there. If you could just pull up, even like without pressing play on it, Sean, the quarter zip or there it's like a full ass jacket, but he does the black one, zips it up all the way with the beard. Torts looks great there.
He does look great. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter just saying Torts is hot.
I mean, we've been said the What Chaos Show account.
Yeah.
It used to be a Twitter account we had called Shitty NHL Gifts, and most of it was just like John Tortorella fan cam stuff.
And I dislike typically the the quarter zip underneath a suit jacket. It seems very, very clunky a lot, but Torts does make it work because he does do that look a lot. He loves a quarter zip.
Yeah.
But he does look good.
People are requesting various streams now. We theorized on the PHNX podcast yesterday, the Coyotes podcast, and if you haven't subscribed to that, please go do it. I said if the Golden Knights end up with the 3rd spot in the Pacific Division, which they are absolutely going to do, we do a 24-hour crying stream. Just cry for 24 hours. Because the playoffs aren't going to be fun because one of the most important teams to our operation will just be gone like that. Can we talk about the Flyers, though, actually as a playoff team? Because we've assumed they were going to finish in the mix here. They actually are in danger of missing the playoffs. As I mentioned, they're on a 5-game losing streak, 2 points in that span. They're holding on to 3rd in the Metro by 1 point, 2nd wild card spot by 1 point, but they've played... by 2 points I get, but they've played 3 more games than the Capitals. So very theoretically, they could fall out of this thing. And the Eastern Conference is looking at a situation where 2 of the Flyers, Caps, Red Wings, and freaking Islanders are going to be in the mix. But to keep it on the Flyers, they are playing with fire right now. And maybe all of this yelling is like hey, guys, actually have to get points here.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's right now I'm looking at the Greg Wyshynski tweeted out the Stathletes probability to make the Stanley Cup playoffs. Flyers are just a tick over 50%. They're at 50.5%. Capitals above them at 71%. Lightning 99.9. We all expect the Lightning to be there. Red Wings 42.9. The Red Wings had a huge win last night against the Tampa Bay Lightning to stay alive. Islanders 25%, and then below them Devils, Penguins, Sabres. I think we're all throwing them in the trash. At this point, what I will say is I am very, very much less upset about the prospect of the Washington Capitals making the playoffs because everybody has kind of grouped themselves together in my mind. When you're talking about those 4 teams, there's not a lot separating them. I think they're all very mid, but like if I'm rooting for the Flyers to make it basically exclusively because of Torts.
I want the Flyers to be in as well. And I also want to make sure these hands stay in tip-top shape because I'm going to be on Prize Picks just picking this, that, Andrew Schultz, community section, college basketball. I mean, college basketball is going on right now, and I've been hammering that Prize Picks life. Yeah. And what's nice about it is that you can jump into the playoff action and 100x your money. Some of these other apps, the DFS, you got to go up against a bunch of sharks out there. You're playing sharks like you're on the road in San Jose. Not the case with Prize Picks. Prize Picks is you against the numbers. And if you're a smarty pants like the 3 of us are, you can do quite well on there. $10 can be turned into $1,000 with basketball, hockey, and college basketball entries today on Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. So go to prizepicks.com/whatchaos and use code whatchaos for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/whatchaos and use code whatchaos. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Also want to talk about our favorite ticketing app. You know what it is. It's Game Time. You know how much I hate some other ticket apps, which will not be mentioned by name, but they're awful. Their user experience is awful. Their fees are awful. They hide things behind curtains like it's the goddamn Wizard of Oz. Not Game Time, though. They put transparency at the top of the priority. They got their all-in pricing. What you see is what you get. And they're the only ticketing app that gives you peace of mind when it comes to getting in the building and enjoying, whether it's the sports you love, the music artists you love, maybe the comedians that you love. They got you covered. They're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money. And their user experience, I'll tell you what, it's amazing. We've all used the app. We'll continue to use the app because it truly is one of the best ways to buy tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHAOS for 20% off or $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem with the code CHAOS, CHAOS, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
We want to throw a like spike in there as well?
Yeah, buddy. If you're in here, you're watching this stuff live, hit that thumbs up button right below the player. You know what to do. Hit that button. Subscribe if you're not subscribed to the channel as well. And if you're listening to this later on the podcast feeds, make sure to head to our YouTube page. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. We want to inflate those numbers. We did hit 5K, so shout out to everybody who pushed us over 5K. And also, we started this yesterday, but after Slate grades, we're gonna do episode grades. So head to the YouTube page and drop us a comment on today's episode and grade the show.
And please, I just request this as one of the founders of the Slate grade. You've probably figured out by now there's 2 possible grades. Right. And I don't want to give away how to do it and just totally give away a magician's secret, but I like it sticking with that. There was a comment on the episode yesterday that said, A-. Funny stuff, boys. It was my favorite thing I've ever seen. So comment, share, respond to haters. Somebody commented on the Eric Clapton discussion, is this a hockey podcast? And I, with the What Chaos account, responded, are you Eric Clapton? Get out of here. Should we be talking about the Islanders? Because we really haven't been doing that at all. But boy, they just find themselves in the mix. They're 3 points out of the second wild card spot. They have 8 games remaining to Washington's 9, but they're 4 points behind the Flyers, who have 6 games left. All that is to say it's very possible the Islanders make the playoffs, and as we just said, the Flyers don't. So, congrats to the Islanders. You are what I thought the Capitals were a couple weeks ago, where it's like this stupid thing that's just hanging around. But you get in?
I mean, that doesn't not make them the Capitals. Like, all of these teams are just stupid teams that are hanging around. The Islanders, for sure, though, have that stink attached to them where they just refuse to die. They refuse to go away. They've never really been overly impressive this year. They've never been impressive. Famously, they fired their coach because they stunk. And I just, I don't really take them seriously. I don't think that many people do, including their own fans. I think they're probably just hoping that they get in. But they're not exciting. They're not super fun. They just are pesky.
But they employ Ilya Sorokin.
That's right.
They got Ilya Sorokin on their team, and that's kind of the most exciting thing about them. Honestly,
their goaltending hasn't been good this year.
I mean, at the beginning of the season, people were like, oh, yay, check these guys out. Get out of here. They're 21st in goals for per game. They're 23rd in goals against per game. 20th power play. 32nd penalty kill. So truly a gross, uninteresting. Shout out the Islanders. Love ya. I'm dressed in Islanders colors today. It's an Oilers shirt, but still. Kind of Islanders-y colors. Show my support.
Well, I mean, famously, the Islanders copied the Oilers' third jersey with their Stadium Series jersey.
That is very true. That is very true. But generally, as you said, like there's just kind of a group of mid-sticky sort of teams. So I'll bring back the thing of 2 of the Flyers, Capitals, Red Wings, and Islanders will probably be in the postseason for the Eastern Conference. Who do you want in there of that group?
I'll take Flyers for sure. Throw the Islanders in the trash. I don't need them in the playoffs. I don't really care at this point between the Caps and the Red Wings. Like, the Caps, I don't believe are a good team, and I think the Red Wings ceiling is a bit higher than the Caps. But I also think that at this point, the Red Wings don't fucking deserve them to be in the playoffs because the wheels have fallen off so hard over the last month and a half. So whichever one of those gets in, have it, whatever. But I'm not going to take you seriously.
Yeah, I think you're onto something. I want the Flyers and the Capitals. My 180 on the Capitals was probably a little predictable because I passionately cared about how much I did not care about them. And you know what? There's something to be said for sticking around, for not going quietly into that night. And we've said a million times, this team should have been out of it forever ago. They started the season old, kept losing guys, then began trading guys. And now, wouldn't you know it, I want them to be in there, especially because let me think, who would the Capitals would probably get Boston or New York in the first, or the Rangers in the first round. And like, if they win game 1, that'll be a very fun kind of moment for the league.
And it would be Charlie Lindgren's, it would be his show, basically. I think maybe you could say the same thing for Alex Lyon, who hasn't had the best last month or so. And that's a big reason why Detroit's been getting less than stellar results. But, there is the opportunity. You do have to address it. There is the opportunity for, despite them not being very good teams, they could ride a hot goalie and cause some trouble. I don't see it happening, but there's a non-zero chance. Just given the aura around Charlie Lindgren right now, it's got big, who the fuck is this guy and how dare he kind of energy.
Yo, what if the Capitals were this year's Panthers?
Oh my God.
And it's just
that's not a fair comparison though, because the Panthers were good.
Right. They were good and then basically hit a snag for the first half of the season. But I mean, what if the Capitals were they really outplayed their positioning and have really quote unquote overachieved. But instead of Matthew Tkachuk, Anthony Duclair, all these good players, not to mention that Bob was kind of coming alive, it's 100-year-old Alexander Ovechkin, Charlie Lindgren, a new coach. Like, what is all this?
They've got some good young players too, and you could potentially have Ryan Leonard in the mix.
I'm into this.
I've since like come around. I'm not pushing for the Capitals to be in the playoffs, but I don't think that I would be as upset about it as I was at the idea a couple weeks ago. And I'll say this, like the vibes around the Capitals right now are pretty good. And I got a lot of hate from Capitals fans being like, why the fuck do you hate us so much? I just don't think you're good. But half of the fan base too is like, yeah, our team's not good, but we got good vibes and they're all friends and that's cool. And I'm like, make a good point.
Before we move,
do love friendship.
Before we move off these Eastern Conference teams and into the West bubbly situations, we should loop back to the Flyers just for 1 second to note Ivan Fedotov made his NHL debut last night. 27-year-old KHL guy. Also a big boy. Look at this guy. Whoa! He's huge.
He has tied the record for tallest goaltender to ever play in the NHL. I believe he's 6'7" and just a gigantic human being.
Whoa, look at that guy.
And I famously, of not giant stature, typically consider tall people a scam, but I do think that I have been drawn to like tall, fascinating people. Tage Thompson.
I need you to explain what
tall people are a scam. Things come easy to them. They don't have to try very hard. It's like if you are
not
tall people die, man.
No, that's karma.
So then it's not a scam.
It's
just a trade-off.
It's a scam.
It's a deal with the devil,
and that they don't typically have to. They don't have to work as hard as someone like me. And I have like a little chip on my shoulder.
Sounds like it.
Things come easy to tall people, and so
I don't know. I feel like I earned all 6'2" of my height.
That's not super tall though. 6'2" is
not super tall. No,
is tall, but like not outlier tall.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But typically I don't buy into the hype around tall people, but like super tall to the point where it's funny to watch and fun to watch, like a Tage Thompson, like this gigantic bozo in net for the Flyers. I'm in on that. Like that dude is fucking huge, and it is just a very funny visual, and I'm all about it.
You think you're changing the subject back to a hockey thing?
I know this is ridiculous. You're not like
tall people are a scam.
Try get on a fucking airplane.
Yeah,
sit in the middle seat at some point.
Yeah, but like if you're a tall person, you've got like powerful vibes around you your entire life. Like girls typically gravitate towards you.
Says the only one in a committed relationship right now.
Well, that's because I know that I have to work for it. I got that chip on my shoulder. You fucking bozos who of taller height resting on your laurels.
Well, but that proves the point, though, is that if we were a scam, we wouldn't have to try. We would just be in.
No, it's just that eventually scams get exposed. Like I bet a lot of
Has the tall person scam been exposed yet?
Well, no.
Any year now?
Well, some people are willing to look past the scam. And and accept less.
Get on a cross-country flight and tell me that tall people are a scam. Like that ends the conversation to me. Just because we can reach high shelves and there's some women who are only will date tall guys. Like,
so that is something that I did not know in life until at one point I tried introducing somebody to a friend who is on the shorter side, and like the height thing came up, and I was like, I'd never even considered that. And then I brought that up to Pete. I was like, is that a thing? And you were like, some girls don't like short guys.
Yeah.
A lot of girls.
Most girls
won't even consider.
So, won't date someone shorter than them.
He's like, a lot of girls don't like short guys. They think that they're annoying and talk about tall people too much.
And how much they're a scam.
I think there are a lot of guys who won't date women that are taller than them too. So I think it goes both ways a little bit.
Like climbing trees.
I mean, it's a little different when you're shorter, A, and B, and it's not everybody. Like I'd date a woman taller than me. I don't give a shit.
I mean, I really just want to bring Zdeno Chara in here, start off the interview, get up and leave, and then just see that play out.
Well, I don't think Zdeno Chara is a scam because that's a man that works super hard, not resting on his laurels.
That is the hardest working tall person ever. I will give you that.
But
Yao Ming didn't work hard, man.
Another person that works tall. You're using bad examples. Think about how many like NHL defensemen have just been tall and just been Terrible.
I will say, like, basically every player the Chargers have drafted the last 10 years has just been tall and bad.
Exactly.
I mean, if
and
you're
then think about
drafting
guys like Alex DeBrincat scored fucking 75 goals in the U.S. National Development Program and didn't get drafted in the first round.
That's not tall people
Until the
being
end
a
of the first
scam. That's GMs being fucking dumb. Like, it's not their fault that they decide. Like, if someone's gonna give me free shit because I'm tall, I'm gonna take it. But it's not like I'm naturally like.
I'm not saying that like the tall people are at fault here. I'm just saying sometimes it's a scam.
Sometimes it's a scam. Tall people are a scam.
I don't even consider myself tall. I consider myself like not short, I guess. But like I would never call myself like a tall
Yes, I
person.
mean, I'm definitely not tall. But I'm also not short.
I feel like 6'4" and up is when you get like tall territory.
No, I would say 6'3" is
6'3",
tall.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
I think that I'm supposed to be 5. Like, if you like actually flattened me out, like rolled me out.
if you stood up straight all the time.
Yeah.
I'm the same way.
And I like look at this. Like, I'm not going to move right now. I barely am taller than Pete sitting down right now.
Yeah, I don't.
My posture is that.
I feel
bad.
like I don't present 6'2",
And I'm
at
like,
all.
I don't say this braggingly. I'm like 3 feet taller than Pete, and sitting down, you could draw like a straight line. But let's see. Although, look, when I do this, you'll notice that my mic kind of falls down because I don't have a counterweight here, but I just bought one. I'm very excited to put it on here.
Nice.
I will say
All
this.
I'm saying is find a tall person, and I'll say there's a good chance that they're resting on their laurels for being tall. Specifically when it comes to like the dating game.
I will tell you this, like, not to fucking crack open the personal life section of the Wikipedia page. Never have I ever thought like, oh, I'm at a either advantage or
You're not
like,
tall.
I always no, but or like a disadvantage or anything. So do you think that just because I'm neither?
Yeah,
it
you're average, so you don't experience either side of the spectrum.
Without bragging, I will say every like we'll say happy situation I've been in, has been because there's a connection with the person and because like we find each other charming.
Yeah.
I don't look at it as like, oh, they match up because that person's so much taller.
Yeah,
or
but
shorter.
I think there's a lot of people who won't even like. You don't even get to the point of making a connection, especially like if you're on dating apps and stuff like that.
Right.
Like, there's so many girls. Like, I've seen a bunch of girls that'll be like, "You got to be taller than me,"
and like
like in their in their thing.
yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of tall puns. They all are, as you would expect, just
Pauls.
people who are named Paul.
What I was gonna say is, like, if a tall person isn't an athlete, they're usually just referred to as being like awkward and lanky. So like I don't think naturally like just being tall doesn't automatically make you attractive. Like I think there's just as many tall people who would be described as awkward as they would as being.
I don't know. I think like there are some I don't want to say like unfortunate looking, but less than model-esque tall people that shoot out of their league because they're tall.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true.
I got to do some of these. We got Taylor Tall, Scam Fowler is great, Arbor Sky High. What is it? Doug is that supposed to be Doug Height instead of Doug Weight?
Nice, that's pretty good.
Tall Reese Bergeron, that's a really good one. Tall Reese Bergeron, Tall Maurice, Tall Short Reese.
Pete doesn't like tall people because it's harder for them to wash his feet.
That might be true.
He doesn't like tall grown men.
He doesn't like
I
tall
should
guys.
also point out that
it's a long way to the ground.
I am dating a person whose like literal only type is tall, which is very funny to me.
Really?
Yes. Like all of Ellen's other boyfriends are like 6 feet plus. Loves tall people.
That's interesting.
And then there's me.
She's a bit of a thing, though.
Well, you don't have to be tall to like tall guys. A lot of average height girls love tall guys.
You and another short, beautiful person is the cutest thing in the world. Like you two are a very cute couple,
Thank you.
I think a lot of it is size related.
pocket couple.
No, like I remember.
I'm gonna put you in my pocket.
I remember vividly. I was meeting
Casey Littlestat.
Banner.
I was meeting you and Ellen somewhere, and you were already there, and you were at a table. And as I was walking over, I was like, "Oh, I'm with these ones.
Fuck off.
These ones are mine." It's very cute.
I think there's something to be said for like very tall. Well, who was it? It was.
I should note I dated Yao Ming.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I was defending him. So
There's the classic pictures of Jeanette McCurdy and
UConn, Andre Drummond.
yes, Drummond. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my
and
God.
he's literally 7 feet tall and she's like 5'2".
Yeah, that
And,
was incredible.
Like those pictures are crazy.
Shout out Jeanette McCurdy. She like got out of the game. Was like, "Fuck this! I don't want all this drama. I got shit in my life. I'm gonna deal with that instead." What a incredible move to just like prioritize your actual life when you probably got the bag coming in. I got a lot of respect for Jeanette McCurdy.
The bag.
Yeah.
Just like she could continue. Like,
I see what you're saying.
She could
I
just
was-
be like
because
a
I was-
Disney and Nickelodeon star and keep moving up. And she was like, "Yo, I got a lot of like family shit I got to sort through. I do not enjoy the way that I feel when I'm acting, so I'm not gonna do that shit anymore."
I thought you were because like I just recently learned that like child actors don't get residuals. Like Josh Peck, he doesn't make money from Drake and Josh. Yeah.
Damn.
So like that's why when you said she has the bag coming, I was like, I don't think she does. Like if she's not still working, she's not making money from the kid show she worked on.
The chat's someone in the chat says, "Yikes, Deej, ... What did I do?
I don't know.
I don't think I did anything.
I don't know, but I like Victor Head and Shoulders above, man.
That's really good.
That's pretty good.
Jamie Lengthenbrunner.
That's awesome. We can't ignore there's also a pile of shit happening in the Western Conference right now.
Yes, let's do the Blues.
It's smaller.
Yes.
But the Blues and Kings.
Yes. Oh, don't get me started on the Kings. The Blues have 8 wins in their last 11 games. They beat the Oilers in overtime last night. It was not the best time. Oilers did come back in the third period, though. They were fucking around, playing with their food a bit, but they're 3 points behind the Kings for the second wild card spot. The Kings could conceivably miss the playoffs.
Yeah, and
awful behavior.
91.9% that they make the playoffs.
That they
so
make
it's still pretty high.
It shouldn't be a question, though.
Blues is 6.7. That's way lower. I don't.
It's because the Kings have a game in hand.
Okay, but that's.
I think the Kings
doing a lot of work.
Right, so they're 3 points behind the second wild card, but the Kings do have a game in hand. Not to give you a popsicle headache. The Kings, meanwhile, 3 points out of third in the Pacific. Both them and the Knights have 8 games left.
I think that if there's any team in the entire playoff picture that would upset me the most not making it, it might be the LA Kings.
It is the Kings.
Because you made us go through all of this shit, and for what? Like, they've been a very dramatic and annoying team. Potentially like under the radar annoying, but they've been very annoying. And as somebody who has believed in them for pretty much the entire season, even when they were losing like 20 games in a row, if they miss the playoffs, they deserve to hang a banner at Crypto Center for Assholes of the Year.
A shame banner?
Yes.
Asshole banner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be a good idea, is to force like the team with the worst vibes over an NHL season to hang like a shame banner.
So like
that's how you
these are friends of ours, but like I feel like the Columbus Blue Jackets would have a few of those up.
That's how you combat tanking. It's like if you want to tank, if you got the worst record, you got to put a banner up.
It's basically a scarlet letter for asshole teams.
Yeah.
This is a good idea.
I like this idea. Do we want to do a banner or do we want to do like a patch on the jersey?
So like
for
the scarlet
next
letter,
year?
I think would be a lot of fun.
That would be.
Por qué no los dos?
Everybody has an A on their shirt for asshole.
It would be costly because it would take the spot of a.
You don't get an endorsement.
You don't get an endorsement patch. You have to wear a scarlet letter. Oh man, I like this idea.
Jesse Larkin has mainly done comically terrible puns, but he has the best of the day. Gordy, how's the weather up there?
He's done a couple. I think he discovered that you can kind of turn the end of Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen into 9. And he's done 2, not like just phrases that start with 9 at the end of Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. So he did Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen 9 inches taller than you, and he did earlier. He did a Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen 9 millimeter.
Last thing I'll say on the Western Conference teams, The Oilers, as we are keeping track of where everybody is in the standings, are 5 points behind the Canucks for first in the Pacific. They have a game in hand, and they play the Canucks next Saturday. Should note, as we did yesterday, the Golden Knights are borderline firmly and securely in the third Pacific spot. So they would play the Oilers if the playoffs began today. Should, will the Oilers conceivably get to that first spot? Because if they do, they would end up getting the Predators, who I love. I love the Predators. Like very happy for the Predators, what they've done this year. But if you
there's
could,
a team you want,
instead of playing the Golden Knights, you get the Predators, or if they're not huge assholes, the Kings. Like, is that in play?
No.
I don't think so either, because
No.
the Oilers have a gauntlet ahead of them. They keep playing the Avalanche, as I mentioned. They're playing the Canucks. They play the Golden Knights next Wednesday. They have such a tough remaining schedule. But if they could somehow eke it out, then that would be amazing. Because I would like a nice little easy first round.
There's just not enough time. And, I mean, would be an incredible achievement for the Oilers to finish first place in that division after the start they had. I'll point out, like, we're talking about the Kings as big assholes, and they did lose last night. They lost to the Winnipeg Jets, but that was the best game of the night for my money, and the Kings did play pretty well. I do want to shout out Anze Kopitar. 8 goals in his last 9 games. I love that guy. I can't say that he's, like, underrated or underappreciated, because most people know how good he is, but it kind of, like, does fly under the radar how good Anze Kopitar still is.
He's like the modern Patrice Bergeron, kind of, in that he's not the best player and therefore will not be talked about like he's the best player. As a result of that, sometimes he's just not talked about.
He's just not talked about, yeah.
And where he is, like in Boston, Patrice Bergeron ended up being a little overrated.
Mm-hmm.
And outside of Boston, I'm pretty sure Patrice Bergeron was just like widely
beloved.
Beloved, but like underrated a little bit, maybe, or properly?
Probably properly.
All right. Well, then on the topic of what you would say very well-rounded players, like all-time greats, Pavel Datsyuk apparently is a little shit-stirring brat, because our friend John Butchergross has made this comparison. Sean, hit me.
I'm very bullish. I continue to be bullish on Trevor Zegras. I think he has a Pavel Datsyuk ceiling once he slowly matures in terms of hands. When your hands are so good offensively, they should be good defensively, right? And that's what Datsyuk was. And that's what Evgeny Malkin was on the wall. He could strip guys with the puck, turnover, pass, score, goal. And that's what he did as a young man, especially. He still does it now, but especially as a young man. I think once Zegras learns that, he can have that kind of game.
Wow. Every Red Wings fan in our listening audience right now calling up Yzerman's office. Get us Zegras.
Right. What's wrong with him?
So on one hand, I understand what he's saying. He's saying Pavel Datsyuk had really good hands on offense, and that's also a big reason why he was good defensively, is because he had quick hands, could dispossess people.
He said that that is right. Those were good words that he said.
But turning that into, I think Trevor Zegras can become Pavel Datsyuk because he has good hands offensively, is such a leap to make, and especially at this point in time when Trevor Zegras still very bad defensively, and like good hands is only a very small part of the pie chart of what makes a defensive player a great defensive player. It's not your hands, it's your fucking brain.
I was going to say Pavel Datsyuk was a genius on the Pavel Datsyuk, we've talked about this, was one of the perfect players of his era. Patrice Bergeron, Marian Hossa, Pavel Datsyuk, Sidney Crosby. It doesn't mean that all the players I just named there were like Sidney Crosby level of player. I think that Datsyuk and Crosby are kind of more in that class by themselves, but perfect player in that they could do everything, always made the right play, always made the smart play. The ceiling thing is also tough because the phrasing of it is a little unfair in that when you say ceiling, you're saying if they are their very, 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 very best, they can be Pavel Datsyuk. how many players actually are their very, very, very best. The only way I would say Trevor Zegras gets Pavel Datsyuk's ceiling is if he physically buys Pavel Datsyuk's old house, which is in Michigan.
Oh, okay. True.
And then has his ceiling. That is the only way I can wrap my head around Trevor Zegras having Pavel Datsyuk's ceiling.
The ceiling thing is also kind of a cop-out because if he doesn't become Pavel Datsyuk, you can just say, well, we didn't realize his potential.
That's what I'm saying. Like, oh, well, he didn't say, well, he could have.
Right.
Well, what do you think my ceiling is?
There's no like seedling of that right now beyond just the hands thing. Like there's no proof that Trevor Zegras can even become like a very good two-way player.
Well, that was also my thing. I was like, why did he say this? Like what? Like who was asking?
Who's asking
for this? Especially because the only reason anybody would be talking about Trevor Zegras right now is not anything he's done on the ice. Like it was just him being an asshole in the penalty box. Why was he? Like, why did you? No one asked him to. Like,
well, I mean, in fairness, I didn't see the full clip. Like, I didn't see what Greg Wyshynski asked him to.
Well,
prompt
yeah,
that
I mean,
whatever
answer.
he asked him, he was very surprised that was the answer.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like,
we had the quote graphic to prepare for this show, and I was like, we got to have the video because Greg Wyshynski's face when Bucci said that was like, what?
You just like, and also Datsyuk. Like, no one's talked about Datsyuk in a long time. No one asked you to make that comparison.
You guys want to know the most gangster shit that's ever been done? During a playoff game, it was in the postseason, the Red Wings were playing, and they were saying, like, tomorrow night, we'll have the Boston Bruins, and I want to say it was the Lightning in the Eastern Conference Final. No, it would have been the Flyers in the second round, something like that. Anyway, they were like, tomorrow, we'll have the Bruins and the Flyers, and boy, they've got a Datsyuk of their own there with number 46, David Krejci. Just like, what a smart player, can do it all, really offensively gifted. And man, there aren't too many teams that have a Pavel Datsyuk on their roster, but Boston just might. The next day, I went up to Krejci. I was like, watch the game last night? And he was like, some of it. I was like, do you hear what they said? And he says, hopefully this isn't an offensive impression, but he was like, about a Datsyuk? And I was like, about a Datsyuk. And he goes, like, yeah. And I was like, yo, no offense. That's fucking the coolest thing in the world. You got compared to Pavel Datsyuk. And he did, I forget what he said, but he was like, they have Datsyuk, we have me.
That's
like,
wow.
And I was like,
banger.
I went up to people after. I was like,
did you know that guy's the coolest guy in the world?
I think David Krejci's the fucking like best player in the world now. And this was, I believe, in 2011. And I'd have to check were the Red Wings in the playoffs that year. But anyway, like David Krejci went the fuck off that postseason. I believe led the postseason in scoring. Great player, but I'd never thought this guy is kind of Datsyuk-esque. And whoever it was that compared him to Datsyuk, I love that Krejci saw that and was like, nice, whatever. But
I'm very curious to see. I hope somebody asked Trevor Zegras about it today. Like, I wonder what the fuck he'll have to say.
I hate Pavel Datsyuk.
The future is now, old man.
I'm going to hit the Michigan. What if Trevor Zegras is the nicest and coolest kid in the world?
I'm sure he's like a nice guy. I don't know.
It's not good behavior, though.
I know.
He just generally has bad. We should get Pavel Datsyuk on.
We should get Frank Vetrano on to talk about Trevor Zegras and then ask him if he's Pavel Datsyuk.
This is a dumb question. Who is the captain of the Ducks? Yeah.
I do not believe they have one.
They don't have one?
I mean, if it's not Cam
Yeah.
Fowler.
Yeah, I think we had
Yeah, if it's not Cam Fowler.
That would be the most disrespectful thing in the world.
We had this exact conversation
Yeah, we did.
2 weeks ago.
I think
and
during the 24-hour stream.
Yeah, I think it was
Because I think we were trying to name the captain for every longest tenure.
Longest
we went through
tenured.
the
That was a fun
tenured,
game.
And then I think, we had a conversation about captains, and there were like 3 teams that didn't, and the Ducks are one of them.
Memory serves, we did
5 teams.
surprisingly well with the longest tenured game.
Yeah, the graphic that I was using
Yeah.
based off was also a little fucked up too. So I'm not sure how.
I also
There
don't
was
think
some
that
gray area,
I don't think that Cam Fowler is going to be the next captain of the Ducks.
No, I think like at this point, why do it? Like,
right.
You got a new era of Ducks hockey coming.
And there are players who are like our friend Jeff Skinner among them, who like clearly have throughout their career, like I don't want to say like they've established it, but like wherever they've been, it's like you're going to be one of our best players. You're not like you don't need to be our captain.
Lead by
like,
example, kind of.
Yeah, like longest tenured like does not need to equal. Like I'm very happy for Tyler Seguin that he wears an A in Dallas. That was achieved through like maturity and growth and like becoming a really great leader. He could have just as easily been like, I'm just going to be one of the best players on the team for a while. Like, I think that there's not any like great shame in not being like the leader of the team. You could still be a really good teammate and not need to.
Tage Thompson. I mean, the Sabres obviously aren't a great team
Jack
right
Hughes.
now, but like, yeah.
Nico Heischer.
Oh, somebody said Zegras has to be captain. I was going to suggest Frank Vetrano be named captain. It'd be awesome. They were like, all right, we're gonna try to like do some positive reinforcement. You didn't swear yesterday, so we're gonna name you captain. Can you please be good with this? I hate letters.
Dude, if Frank Vetrano resigned and became captain of the Ducks, I would be so happy for him. Yeah, I think most likely, this is a weird exercise to get into. I didn't think that we'd be like projecting the future captain of the Anaheim Ducks, but
I did.
Like, I would say Troy Terry makes a lot of sense, and maybe Mason McTavish.
Mason McTavish doesn't look captain material yet.
Not yet, but that's because he's like 21 years old.
Right. You just like...
I would say Troy Terry is probably the best bet.
Troy Terry, I would like.
Just make Cutter Gauthier once he shows
up.
Oh,
that'd be so funny.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what the Ducks did with Paul Kariya.
He was like, you are awesome.
I think they started him off. I could be wrong. I think they started him off as captain. The Bruins did that with Zdeno Chara, but Zdeno Chara had played in the league at that point. I believe, I could be wrong, the Ducks like gave him his jersey with a C on it.
That rules.
Paul Kariya ruled. Amazing player. Lastly, Ryan Reeves is trying to disrobe. There's been a lot of Ryan Reeves stuff over the years, this year in particular. The whole, wouldn't have happened if Ryan Reeves is on the ice. And a lot of this humor around Ryan Reeves has been at his expense. I like that there's a fun moment where we can just say, Ryan Reeves, good one, bud.
I got a question for you, though. Whose rule is it that I can't wear I got to keep a shirt on here?
It's not my rule. No? You can...
If we want to start catching the NFL and NBA, we're going to have to start marketing this body a little bit.
Right? I have no problem with it. I don't... It's above my pay grade, Ryan.
All right. You let me know who it is.
I'm keeping my shirt on, though.
All right. That's fair.
We don't want to market it that good.
Yeah. Like, that was my takeaway, is that I feel like every time we're forced to talk about Ryan Reeves, it's how he's, like, being annoying, or, like, the narrative around him is annoying. Ryan Reeves, I like a lot. I think that he can be annoying. I think that he can, we've talked about this word, he can yap.
Yeah.
He yaps. He talks a lot and not always necessary. But he does seem like a very fun guy, a very good personality. I loved that moment. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I think that a lot of it has been like whether he insists upon himself too much, or maybe in a Mark Recchi-esque way, maybe he intentionally says, let me take some heat off everybody else. Give me a mic. I'm going to say some stupid shit. Now everyone's mad at me and they're not mad at anybody else. And sometimes I think the Leafs need that, because the media and fans, if I were a Leafs fan, I'd be mad at so many of them so often. What the fuck are you doing? I'd be doing stuff like that.
Fair. Also, Ryan Reeves loves not having his shirt on. Basically, every interview he ever does,
that's
he does
like all
have
I know
shirt
about
on.
him, is that he fights people and takes his shirt off.
And he always says the same thing every time it's brought up that he's not wearing a shirt. He just says, I paid a lot of money for these tattoos. I got to show them.
I respect that.
Yeah,
like,
for
you
real.
much money
Also, he looks like a fucking monster without a shirt
he's
on.
He's also just like very handsome. I think.
Yeah, he's like a very good-looking guy. I'd be shirtless all the time.
Nice.
Yeah, he is Ryan Reeves, borderline smoke show, I think. And also, like, Sean McKenzie said, I'm leaving my shirt on. Nobody wants to see that. Disagree. That guy's in terrific shape.
He said we don't want to market it that well, is what he said.
Don't want to market it that well?
I think he was definitely like, he didn't really know what to do in the situation, but he said they don't want to market it that well.
I don't understand, but I think take your shirt off too, Sean.
I think it was a little tongue in cheek, like, I'm too hot. if I
Okay.
take my shirt off.
Yeah, you don't want to give him too much kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, Sean McKenzie runs like marathons and shit. He's a tryhard.
He does.
By the way, I crunched the
love him,
numbers.
but-
Paul Correa, he was not captain immediately, but he was named captain in his 3rd season and at like 21 years old. And he was the youngest captain in the NHL until 2 years later when Brian McCabe became captain of the New York Islanders.
Wow.
So
Shout out Paul Correa. Also shout out for 3 stars, Alex Nylander.
Oh,
Because
my
if you
goodness.
remember, Alex Nylander got kind of dumped on the Columbus Blue Jackets, and he had a nice little everything until now. Still, it wasn't just like a few days where he was scoring goals. He has been scoring goals this whole time.
I know.
He has 10 goals in 17 games for the Columbus Blue Jackets. He has been an actual get and part of, I'm sorry, Sean, part of their forward group.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I know. And it doesn't get talked about a lot because it's the Blue Jackets, but I mean, what a nice little ad to the second half of the season. What, 10 goals in 17 games?
10 goals in 17 games.
2 more last night. I'm sorry, Sean. But like, Penguins fans should feel worse than Sabres fans.
They just gave this guy away.
They gave him away, and like, not that like it didn't make sense at the time because he wasn't doing anything with the Penguins, but like, Penguins could use a guy like that, I think.
Oh yeah. So if you don't know, he's an 8th overall pick
of the
year?
Buffalo Sabres.
Of the Buffalo Sabres. His career high in goals is 10 with the Blackhawks in the 2019-2020 season. Has not had a lot of success in the NHL. He had 14 NHL goals before he was traded to... He had 14 NHL goals in 98 games before he was traded to the Blue Jackets. Since he's gotten there, he has but 3 assists, but still 13 points in 17 games. He's doing something and having a little renaissance. That is it called a renaissance if it's really your first breakout?
It's like renaissance is just rebirth.
Right, but was he born?
Well, I mean, he had
NHL?
to be a first
like the Renaissance.
first round
The
draft pick
Renaissance
for a
was out of
reason.
the Dark Ages, wasn't it?
Yes.
So
Oh, true.
It's like
Yeah.
being reborn from the darkness.
So he was literally born. Shout out,
Mr. and Mrs.
Nylander?
why can't I think of the patron
Michael?
Michael Nylander.
Oh.
Shout out Michael Nylander. That's why Alex was born.
The thing that's funny to me about Nylander is just like what happened. Like it's
I-
not like
that's a
he's
great
played on
question.
bad teams. He's played on
He's had
a
opportunities.
good Penguins team, and it's just like why now? Why? Because it's not like he ended up like with no disrespect to our Blue Jackets. Not like he ended up with like good players, like on a good team or anything like that. That would have. It's
No
not like he ended up
disrespect.
on the Oilers, right? Like
That's
you could.
arguably the most disrespectful thing you could ever
Well,
say.
No
But
respect to him. He ended up with like the worst organization, and
Yeah,
they don't have good players.
Like I mean, it's like the Hyman conversation. People want to shit on Hyman for just being sitting in front of the net and taking advantage of being on a great team. Like that's obviously not the situation Nylander's in.
I mean, he's playing alongside Johnny Gaudreau and Voronkov.
Well,
was he
Johnny Gaudreau, the whole story for Johnny Gaudreau, at least in the beginning of the season, was that he sucked too.
Yeah,
I think
but
that
like,
he was with.
but he sucked in like relative to what
To
we
what he should-
know
that's
Johnny
fair.
Gaudreau
Yeah.
is.
But still, like it's not. I would have to look because he wasn't playing with Sidney Crosby, obviously.
I'll
but-
tell you what. I mean, you've been saying for a little bit that you like the Blue Jackets roster, but like if they've found some money here, like their top 6 isn't bad.
Yeah,
It's just they need to figure it out on a more consistent basis and have a little bit better leadership in my mind.
I believe.
Do also want to mention Kirill Marchenko, friend of the program, 20 goals, back-to-back 20-goal seasons. So
What a guy.
Despite Pascal's best efforts.
yeah, for real.
We already have Blue Jackets jerseys with our own names on them, but I think we need a Marchenko jersey at some point. Oh, dibs on Marchenko winner
Stadium Series.
Stadium Series. And by dibs, I mean dibs on 3 of them.
I'd get a Werenski one.
I'm gonna get a Seth Jones one.
Werenski would be
Seth Jones. Some chat
I'll get a
pointing
Nylander
out,
one actually.
and I do think that this has been the knock on Nylander for a while. Is
Attitude.
that attitude, effort? Doesn't look like he has a real passion for the game of hockey. Like I've seen that before.
motor.
Yeah, the poor motor. So,
But-
we'll see if like maybe that turns around.
That is
but-
the one thing, and not that Buffalo is obviously not. I feel like if Buffalo's good, they're similar to Pittsburgh in terms of fan base and like criticism and stuff like that. Chicago, obviously, like if you're not playing well, you're going to face a lot of criticism. Like that's one of the things that Werenski talked about is like going to Columbus might have just been it. Like just going somewhere where he could just fuck off, go to the zoo, and not face any kind of pressure. And now he's playing well.
Now he's the GOAT. He was playing with Sillinger at one point too, and he was playing well with him. I'd like to get Cole Sillinger at some point.
I like to get like a lot of players from the Blue Jackets.
I like the roster.
Scrape the surface.
It's a very good roster. And there's also some hockey tonight. So let's do a slate grade presented by Game Time. It is Tuesday night, and there are Tuesday night late in the season, and there's 8 games. What kind of behavior is that?
He's saying that's not enough.
That's nice slate. Where's the rest of it? 7 p.m. Capitals at Sabres. 7 p.m. U.S. Panthers at Canadians. 7 p.m. U.S. Penguins at Devils. 7:30 p.m. Blackhawks at Islanders. 8 p.m. Bruins Predators. 9 p.m. Ducks at Flames. 10 p.m. Canucks at Golden Knights. Interesting structure. Pretty straightforward, I would say. Not a good collection of games.
No.
There's only 2 matchups of playoff teams, the Bruins and the Predators, which I do want to see. Canucks at Golden Knights is a great game.
Mm-hmm.
That's like that on its own is a golden night because I'm going to have myself a night watching that game. It's a huge one because at this point, I think I'm resigned to the Knights finishing 3rd in the Pacific. So I think as an Oilers fan, shout out this cool Stuart Skinner shirt I'm wearing.
You got to see some game tape.
What's that?
You got to see some game tape.
What's that?
You just got to watch the games.
No, I'm saying like as an Oilers fan, I'm rooting for the Knights to win this game.
Okay.
Because Oilers after tonight, Oilers will have 2 games in hand on the Canucks with 1 matchup left to go against them.
So you're saying like you got to root for the Golden Knights so that it hurts the Canucks, so it helps the Oilers in pursuit of Vancouver.
If the Golden Knights beat the Canucks in regulation, 1st in the Pacific will be, we'll call it, in play for the Oilers. I agree with you right now that it's probably not. And projecting, looking at the Oilers' upcoming schedule or remaining schedule, it's too difficult. They're probably not going to get it. But you won't be able to deny it's in play if the Canucks fall to Vegas tonight in Vegas.
It becomes a discussion. I mean, although those are the 2 playoff games, teams, like you can't disregard the Washington Capitals at the Buffalo Sabres because the Sabres can be some assholes. They're still not
words out of my mouth, Pete.
They can play asshole, and the Caps need these wins.
Is tonight the Jeff Skinner 1,000 game celebration?
Yeah, it sure is.
For Skinner.
Yeah.
So why don't we go to that?
There's a lot going on. Like there's a lot going on for the Jeff Skinner game. They're not fucking around with how big they're making this. Like they've got special concession items for Jeff Skinner's 1,000th game.
Yeah.
Can I
should have gone?
Can I go through these real quick? Because they're pretty good. Special concession items for Jeff Skinner's 1,000th game. I don't know if this is his Masters menu. You know how if you win the Masters, you get to pick the dinner menu. Coca-Cola chicken and waffles. Coca-Cola fried chicken between 2 waffles and maple bourbon aioli.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking incredible.
Talk dirty to me, Jeff.
Coca-Cola fried chicken.
Talk dirty to me, Jeff.
You have me at Jeff Skinner.
We have Skinner chicken dinner. 8-piece fried chicken dinner with mashed potatoes and gravy, mac and cheese, and coleslaw in the 2-foot branded boat.
This is in concessions?
Yes.
What the fuck?
They have a 2-foot Jeff Skinner branded boat with 8-piece fried chicken dinner, mashed potatoes, gravy, mac and cheese. It's basically like the KFC bowl
almost getting
with Jeff
too much
Skinner.
for me.
And then Jeff Skinner jersey cutout cookies.
Okay, that's fine.
Ice cream cookies.
Ooh.
With Jeff Skinner jerseys.
My question is this just seems wildly not worth it. All due respect to Jeff Skinner and all that, and it's awesome, but no team. I've never seen a team do this.
I've never seen
people
a team do
still
this.
aren't showing up to Sabres games.
Maybe this is their efforts.
I guess.
I love Jeff Skinner.
So do I. Good for him.
I am so sad that we're missing the Jeff Skinner party in Buffalo tonight.
I'm looking up right now It's 7 hours.
Yeah, I was gonna say we can't make it in
to
time.
drive there. That's way longer than I thought.
Yeah,
it would be. Historically, I've flown to Buffalo.
And
that's like 45 minutes
flight.
Yeah,
but it's a very quick flight. Let me see. Is there? I mean, it's not expensive to get there. Is there anything that I'm not seeing anything right now? But shit,
we will have boots on the ground.
This was a bad job on our part to not do this.
Yeah,
I mean, I've been wanting to go to Sabres game forever.
I've been wanting to go to Buffalo for a trip forever, but we will have boots on the ground. So if we want at least like a ringside reporter,
yes,
we can have that.
Oh, I think we need a boat.
Huh?
We need a boat.
Oh yeah,
we need a Skinner boat.
We need a boat captain.
Yes.
I'm incredibly impressed by those special concessions. The Coca-Cola fried chicken would be number one on my list between the waffles. I just wonder if Jeff Skinner is like a massive fried chicken guy because it seems
He's
that
gotta
way.
be.
Yeah.
He has fried chicken energy for sure.
2 fried chicken things. Other thing from the slate I wanted to say is, have we officially sucked off the Penguins or the Devils? Were either of them like officially? Because this feels like a massive loser gets sucked off game.
I think that we said I'm ready to say Devils sucked off. Like they're out of my mind.
I mean,
Penguins,
call me a tall person because I sucked off the devil in Pete's eyes.
Jesus Christ. I think that both of them are like basically.
I mean, I agree, but
basically
just
sucked
like
off.
for the vibes when a loser gets sucked off.
All right, we can say that'll be the stakes for tonight. The loser of that game officially sucked off. I think right now both of them are taking the drink.
Yeah,
they're taking the drink. I'm going to give this slate an A-.
Okay.
Although again, 10 p.m. Catch me watching the game. I think that Canucks Golden Knights game is going to be very interesting, and I think an opportunity. Should note Tomas Hertl practicing.
Ooh,
bad cheating.
Bad cheating.
You wait. You wait. He doesn't practice
Just
yet.
hold off like for another week and a half.
That is not like, hey, cheating 101, Golden Knights. Someone have to cheat explain to you, but it's not how you cheat. Wait.
Yeah, agreed.
They're gonna. If I see Mark Stone within the next week, I'm gonna be furious.
Somebody said, "Does Jeff Skinner own guns?" I was like, "No."
Literally, he owns squirt guns.
Yeah,
true.
With
Nerf guns.
Nerf guns.
Nerf guns. Very different.
No, so Jeff Skinner, I think it's. I can say this because like it takes one to know one. That's a guy.
No guns.
He doesn't have guns,
and like as he shouldn't, because children should not own guns.
This is a very weird plot point, but what if somebody got, because like unfortunately there are stories of athletes whose homes have had like home invasions, et cetera, et cetera. What if an athlete's house got broken into after a podcast had speculated that athlete did not have guns?
That would be bad.
That would be very
bad.
I mean, you'd have to be pretty crazy to rob someone simply based off the
I'm not
speculation.
saying that necessarily they did it because. I'm just saying, like, what if, say, we speculated, say there was a professional athlete named DJ Bean, and we were like, DJ Bean definitely doesn't have guns, and like 3 days later, it's like DJ Bean tragically, then like, is that podcast like, fuck, do we have to delete
that? Would be the toughest old take exposed.
You would have to make, that would be a crazy connection to make between us and also just because just because it went poorly doesn't mean they didn't have a gun. Also.
That's fair.
Yeah, there's I agree with that. Somebody noted that Skinner gives off decorative sword vibes. I could agree with that.
There should be mini swords and everything. Like for the Sabres.
I had an Uber driver last week who had his car was like tricked out. He looked like a Pimp My Ride car.
I love those Uber drivers.
His gear shifter was a fucking katana sword.
That's hard. That's hard.
No, it's not. It's bad behavior.
It was unbelievable. And like
that's so crazy.
It was like a full ass katana sword that like went up to his head height.
I thought you were just gonna say like it was like a handle.
He has to like put his car into drive by grabbing a thing next to his head.
That's crazy.
And being like crazy.
Unless you're like a trucker normally, and so you're just like used to big gear
Right.
shifter like that, then I guess. But
Fucking-
that's
it was
crazy.
wild.
That is insane. What could you do hockey wise for if you have like a
Just a
like the
stick.
end of like a hockey stick?
yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. Just be
Yeah.
like,
I'm
hey,
sure there's someone that has that somewhere.
Probably.
I know Puck.
There's probably so many people in like northern Canada whose fucking shifter broke and they're like, fuck it, grab a stick from the shed. We'll make this shit work.
Love it.
That's a great idea. Interview about guns. Interview NHL players about guns in the style of that guy from The Lord of the Rings who was talking to Elijah Wood. You know that interview where he's like, "Do you wear wigs? When is the next time that you will wear wigs?" You've never seen that interview?
All he cares about is wigs.
Yes, it's so
Guy was
fucking
wigging
funny.
out. Sounds like.
It's one of the funniest interview clips ever. It's so good.
Well, if you want some really fun interview clips, check out What Chaos, because we've got some amazing stuff with Columbus Blue Jackets, such as Adam Fantilli, Kirill Marchenko, Connor Bedard, all of them. Make sure you're on that YouTube page. Smash every single button you can. Like, even dislike if you're feeling...
No,
sorry.
shut up. Shut your mouth.
I don't know. It's,
No, as a Bomani Jones always says, leave 5 stars. If you leave 4 stars, I'm inclined to believe you're a loser. If you got that much hater energy, or as Pat McAfee says, just pretend it never even happened. Just you know, like
Yeah,
it,
if you-
just
if you-
keep it trucking. No reason to spread that negative.
If
all
you-
right, so for
if you think
Pete's
the show-
sake, do not leave anything but 5 stars.
Exactly. If you think that this is a 4-star program, go fuck yourself and pretend we don't exist. That's my take. But it is important that you go to the YouTube page, you find today's episode, and you leave a comment with a show grade. And as DJ pointed out, it should probably be A or A minus, and just say funny stuff, boys.
Love it. Oh, look, they're all pouring in right now. We appreciate you so much, and we will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.